Hey guys, sorry I can't be there today. For those of you that weren't here last week, I just want to show you really quick how we did our drawing of underneath the pier. I'm really sorry for how this is kind of laid out. Hopefully I can get it done pretty easy. All right, so just follow some steps here. And if you have any questions, the substitute can help you with the directions, or you can ask somebody who was here last week to help you do your sketch too, okay? So I'm gonna start with our horizon. That's step number 1 in 1-point perspective is the horizon. So we're gonna go about halfway up the page. So between here and here, about halfway up, line up your ruler. Make sure it's nice and straight. You can make your line for your horizon nice and light because you're gonna erase a bunch of it, but you will be able to still see it. So you can see that right there. All right. And we're gonna make step number 2, which is our vanishing point. This is where everything disappears. You can kind of see I just made like a little dot there. Make it a little bit lighter or darker. All right. In order to help us keep this nice and balanced, we're gonna make double guidelines. So I'm gonna measure, let's see. I'm going to use the ruler, line up the edge of the paper on the 0 right there. And I'm going to make a dot at about the 1.5 inch mark right there above to there on that edge of my paper. 1.5 inches. Same thing on this side. I'm just going to do this because I don't have a lot of room here. Line up on the edge of my paper, 1.5. So then right there above the 0. So that's at the 1.5 line right there at the edge of my paper, 1.5. Same thing down here. Line it up on the 0, 1.5. Make a dot. Same thing over here. About 1.5 is there, so I'm going to make a dot right there. Okay. I'm gonna do my best to connect these dots through my vanishing point. So I think I actually need to move my vanishing point over a little bit, because if I line it up on that dot and that dot, I'm gonna hold my ruler down real tight. And these are the guidelines for our main perspective and our radial, okay? Or all of our radials, because we're doing the underside of that pier. So I actually might need to adjust where my vanishing point is. So we'll say this about right here is my vanishing point, okay? So don't worry about it if you got it off a little bit, that's okay. If you need to pause here and erase anything, go ahead and do that before I get started. Alrighty. So just to the inside of my guidelines. These are going to be the very outside of the bottom of the pier. And I'll show you, you can see that on the picture, or I can show you in my completed sketch here in a minute. So I'm just going to come in a little bit, make another line up like that. It's about the same space over here. I want that over there. Line it up with my vanishing point. I want all the lines to touch the vanishing point, okay? And then you're gonna make sure that ruler's nice and straight. So it helps if you line up that 0 line on that side of the page and one of these lines down here with the other side of the page. And then you can start making straight lines all the way across between your guidelines right there. So not from here to here and not from here to here, but all the way in between those first 2 guidelines we made. Hopefully you can see that. So this line right here, okay? We're gonna move it down a little bit. You wanna leave a good amount of space, because when the things are in the foreground, that's out here, this is the foreground, they're gonna be bigger. Those planks of wood that are on the boardwalk above you are big, and then as you move closer and closer to that vanishing point, they're going to get smaller and smaller. So just keep moving it down a little bit And then they're going to get closer and closer together. As you move down. Let's see, I'll go a little bit closer there. I want to make sure I stay inside those lines. Remember, this is just a sketch. They don't have to look perfect. You just got to do your best to make sure you're making them closer and closer together. It's okay if they go a little crooked. It's okay if they go a little wonky. You're going to go over it in marker, and you will be able to fix anything that you really want to fix later on. Keep your pencil marks light because it's gonna help you be able to erase later when we put in the pylons, and there's just parts of the underside of this boardwalk that you just won't see anymore once those pylons are in place. Okay, so I started out big, and they got closer and closer and closer and closer all the way until the vanishing point where they almost can't see them no more, okay? All right, same idea with our pylons. We're gonna kind of have our ruler straight up and down. So if you see this, like if I were to line up the ruler with the very bottom of the page, I would make a very nice straight line on this edge of the ruler. I want to tilt my ruler in just a little bit. So I'm going to go from that bottom guideline mark, this one here that we did with that line, and I'm going to move into that, just the inside of that first pylon, or first crossbar that we did, okay? And then I'm going to go from there, inside the guideline, all the way down to that guideline, okay? And then I'm going to move in to right where it crosses that crossbar. That's where I'm going to want to do my other one. And I kind of want to make sure, let's see, from there to there is just under an inch. Whoops. And that is where I'm going to put this one with that mark and that mark. I'm only supposed to come down to my guideline, so let me erase that part. It's okay if you go past it a little bit. And then you're going to kind of make this lumpy, bumpy shape at the bottom to make it look like the piece of rock that it's standing on. And up under here, you kind of want to square it out a little. Let's see if you can see that. Sorry, I got the shadow of the glass over there. Let me move this light. So you're going to kind of square it out. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just going to look like those things that are holding up underneath there. So then you can see I can erase here all of this stuff that's essentially behind the pylon, so I wouldn't see it at all anymore. I wouldn't see my horizon. And then down here, I wouldn't see this guideline anymore. Okay? And we're going to keep doing that all the way until we get to the guideline, or to the vanishing point. But we're going to keep making it smaller and smaller as we move. So these little boardwalk lines are actually going to really help me make my pylon marks, because I can kind of use that to space them out the same way. So if I skip one and go to the next one, again, kind of make my ruler just a little bit crooked. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight up and down, because those pylons kind of move in a little bit on each other. Come down to my guideline, and then just over to the next one. So where those two lines crossed to where these two lines crossed, I'm going to do the next one. Okay, lumpy, bumpy shape. Kind of a funky rectangle shape. Oh, I did that to the wrong thing, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. Erase that, because that's behind the pylon too. And erase this and this. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to skip one, go to the next. This is how I know exactly how to make them start coming closer together, because I already did that with my other lines with the cross beams. Okay, and come in and make that one a little bit smaller. Lumpy bumpy shape for the cement on the bottom. Funky rectangle for that support piece. Erase, 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 erase. All right, keep going. Skip that one, go to the next one. This is why those lines are really going to help when you do the cross beams beforehand. If you need to pause for a minute and go back and redo them, you can do that. So now you can see mine are getting really close together. And I really like that, because that means I don't have to worry about making it look, oh, I forgot to erase my horizon, all of these. Horizon's gone. Just inside the pylon, not on either side of the pylon. You still want to be able to see the horizon there and there and there, okay? Let's see how many more I gotta do. So I'm gonna ask the sub to rewind the video a little bit and replay it for you to do the other side, because you're gonna do the exact same thing, just kind of backwards on the other side. I'll do one after I finish this row, and then you can see how they're like disappearing way into the background, because I've even got to go this close to the next one. Lumpy bumpy, starting to go way behind each other. Can't see that horizon. Okay, see that? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they went from big to small, just like all of our radios go from big to small, okay? I'm gonna ask the substitute, make sure we go over that. All right, so same thing over here, right? I'm gonna do it right this time, because I messed it up before. Nah, I don't really care. This doesn't have to be perfect, right? All right, so just to the inside a little bit. Gonna make that long line down. Kind of make sure it runs the same. Stop at my guideline, don't go all the way down, okay? Lumpy bumpy shape. Funky rectangle shape. Erase, erase, erase. Don't need it anymore. Okay, so, and then remember, somewhere in here is your water line. It might be like back here a little bit. So once you've done all of these, you're gonna just kind of draw, oh, hold on, let me get my ruler to a flat spot. I'm gonna put my ruler straight across, maybe about, there's my horizon, there's the bottom of my paper. I'm gonna go about halfway between my horizon and my paper, or the end of my paper. Just do wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, stop at the pylon. Wiggle, 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 stop at the pylon. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle all the way across. If there was a pylon here where I would stop, go in between there, go all the way there. You're gonna wanna do pylons all the way up, okay? Let me show you what that looks like. So this is the sketch we ended up with last week when I finished with your classmates, okay? See, I was supposed to start on the inside right there. Oops, that's okay. But you can see how they're kind of tilted in and they go all the way back. I think I got 6 in there. There's like a 6-ish one right there. And this one I did my shoreline a little bit closer, only maybe about an inch, inch and a half away from my horizon, but you can do it however you want. And then you want to remember, you got to make sure you erase your horizon inside those pylons because you're not going to see it there. Okay. And then you are going to also erase this guideline in between each of the pylons because that's not really there. And then this whole line would get erased too once all those other pylons are there. You can see I erased it there and there and there, and it goes all the way out underneath. Let's take a look at how we'll color it. Okay, so here's mine all colored. You can see I made sure the sky came all the way down to that horizon line that we made. The ocean goes all the way up to the sky. My details match background, middle ground, foreground. You can really see those boards with the darker lines underneath, okay? I mixed the brown and the blue together to make it look like really shallow water, so you can kind of see the sand through the water there. You don't have to do that. You can do it however you want. But I want to make sure that you guys just have a full picture of this, and if possible, the substitute can probably switch over to the overhead document projector on HDMI 3 if they want to show that off for you guys there. All right. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.